I'm taking a topic that's already buzzing and turning it into a fresh, opinionated YouTube script that feels like a creator thinking out loud. No bullet-by-bullet recap, just a narrative that blends insight, speculation, and a bit of personal flavor. Let's dive into Naas Botha's US move, and I'll unpack what it signals beyond the headlines. I'll start with a bold question. What does a rugby legend do when the spotlight slides away, but the influence persists? Naas Botha, the man who reshaped how South Africa talks about kicking and strategy, has moved from the SA studio to the American heartland. It isn't just a relocation. To me, it feels like a transition from iconic voice to mentor figure, a shift from broadcasting and coaching in the public arena to quietly shaping the next generation from the sidelines. What makes this really interesting is the timing and the why behind it. The report mentions family as the core driver. Naas and Karen want to be closer to their daughters, who are chasing athletic scholarships in the US. In my opinion, that's a potent reminder that even legendary athletes juggle personal priorities that can override public applause. It also hints at a broader trend, global mobility for families with deep sports pedigrees, where the next chapter is less about national glory and more about forming a cross-continental pipeline of talent. From my perspective, the full circle arc is striking. Naas first drew attention to the US in 1983 as a place-kick trial in American football that wouldn't become a career, yet here we are decades later, with him returning as a supportive parent and elder statesman. What people don't realize is how rare it is for a figure so identified with one rugby era to pivot into a cross-sport, cross-border mentorship role. This isn't about chasing headlines, it's about embedding expertise where it can fuel someone else's story, kicking technique, mental performance, and the philosophy that rugby isn't just physicality, but a method of thinking. One thing that immediately stands out is the contrast between the old guard and the new frontier. Naas's rugby is not ice skating philosophy, once a defining broadcast moment, still reverberates. In Kansas, he's reportedly lending his kicking mastery and mental skill coaching to local programs. What this implies is a transfer of strategic intellectual capital from a developed rugby nation to grassroots environments in the States. If you take a step back, this could seed a quieter, but significant growth in American rugby culture, especially in places where college sports culture already thrives and cross-pollination with other disciplines happens fast. A detail I find fascinating is the family dynamic. Athletic genes running through the Botha line, with Naas's wife Karen as a former Olympic long jumper. The narrative isn't just about one man, it's about a sports ecosystem that molds multiple generations. The daughters' journeys underscore how elite sport becomes a durable lifestyle and a network. That network, when moved to the States, could subtly accelerate talent development pathways for Americans who otherwise wouldn't cross into South African coaching circles as readily. What makes this move meaningful in a bigger sense is how it reframes identity. Naas is stepping away from SA broadcasting and coaching roles to a quieter influence in the US. It's a reminder that influence in sport isn't only measured by TV presence or titles, it's also about who you teach, what you impart, and how your ideas travel across borders. This raises a deeper question. As elite knowledge becomes more portable, will we see more coaches and former stars planting seeds in non-traditional rugby markets? If so, the sport could evolve faster in unexpected places. From the vantage point of fans, there's a tug between nostalgia and opportunity. Naas's legacy as a tactical kicker is secure, but his latest chapter invites a rethinking of legacy itself. Is legacy now a living, evolving practice rather than a fixed resume entry? In my opinion, yes. The landscape shifts when a legend leans into mentorship, enabling a new generation to access a playbook that isn't written in a single country, but shared globally. If you're watching this and you're a young athlete or coach, what can you take away? First, the value of mobility, not just moving for the glamour, but moving to align family, growth, and craft. Second, the power of mentorship in a sport that rewards technique, mindset, and decision-making as much as speed or size. Third, the reminder that you don't have to be constantly in the spotlight to shape outcomes. You can influence from the sidelines, from clinics, from behind the scenes, through consistent, thoughtful guidance. On a practical note, what I expect next is a quiet expansion of Naas's influence in Kansas and nearby programs. You'll likely hear him in guest coaching roles, perhaps clinics focused on kicking and mental conditioning, and a few stories about player breakthroughs driven by his philosophy. It won't be splashy, but it could be deeply consequential for a handful of athletes who get to learn from a legend at a formative moment in their careers. Closing thought, big-name legends aren't only defined by where they played or how they appeared on TV. They are defined by the legacies they leave in rooms, in clinics, and in the minds of the next generation. Naas Botha's move feels less like retirement and more like a deliberate investment in the future of sport, one that travels across oceans and languages, carried by family, curiosity, and a toolkit built over a lifetime of high-level competition. If you're curious about the ripple effects, I'd love to hear what you think. Do you see this as a catalyst for American rugby growth, or more a personal, family-driven transition with limited broader impact? Drop your take in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, consider subscribing for more analysis that digs beneath the headlines and asks the deeper, sometimes uncomfortable questions that shape sports in the real world.